Okay, I'm going to show you how I drew this sushi restaurant, which, as you can see, I've got some furniture and I've got some people there and put some plants around it, and I'm going to take you through how I created that. Okay, so first of all I'm going to get a new file, which will be blank. And you see there's a person sitting there, and it's a good idea to leave that person right where she is. If you want to move the screen around, H for hand is very important, O for orbit, and I'll keep calling out these shortcuts so you remember them. I will also post them on the lesson so you can see them. So I'm going to start with a rectangle so I can draw something on the floor. So R is rectangle, which I use most often. That's where my pop-up restaurant's going to be. O for orbit, turn it round, see if you think it's the right size. Okay, I'm not really convinced that is the right size, but I'm going to rush quickly through it. So now I'm going to draw where my restaurant's going to be. I would stick with a rectangle to start off with. You might have some other ideas, but try and do something simple first, and when you've mastered that, do a more complicated one if you want to. So there's my restaurant, H for hand to move it nearer to me, P for push-pull to lift it up, and O for orbit, very important to move it around and see if you think it's the right size for your person. I'm going to leave it like that. Next I'm going to put something to keep the rain off if you're standing waiting to be served. So L for line, draw a line along there, P for push-pull, pull that out, O for orbit, just to turn it around, see if I think it's the right sort of size and shape. I'm going to have a serving hatch, R for rectangle, O for orbit, turn it up so I can see it exactly. So you notice that I keep turning my drawing and my building around, which is something that's really important. Zoom in, zoom out for the details, and orbit round so you can check the size. So R for rectangle, I'm doing my serving hatch like that. Click. P for push-pull, just push it in slightly, and if I hover over that surface there, which has changed colour slightly, and press delete, it goes hollow. And if I orbit, you can see. Now, I don't want you to bother designing the kitchen inside there. I think we can leave it like that. I'm going to go R for rectangle, and I'm going to have a counter for people to lean on and put all things like the chopsticks and all the other things you need for my sushi. O for orbit, P for push-pull, and pull that out slightly. So there's a nice little thing. It looks a bit boring because it looks like it's made out of concrete, so I would need to colour it in. If I want to colour it, spacebar will select, and I've selected all of it at the same time. It's all gone blue, so if I go B for bucket, I can see all these things, and if there's nothing much showing, you've got to press search there, and you've got all these different colours, textures, and all that kind of thing. I'm going to fold that up and go for wood, because I think the Japanese are famous for their woodwork, and I'm trying to get a Japanese style, and so I can paint the whole thing wood. Also, while I'm about it, I might paint the floor to give some sort of style. I might have a wooden floor as well around there. Don't particularly like that, I want a lighter one, but again, oh, there's a nice tile, so I'm going to go with that. Okay, H for hand, move the thing up. O for orbit, turn it round slightly, and that's my basic design. Now we can really start having some fun, adding some interesting designs. Obviously you can play around with the colours an awful lot, play around with the shapes, and I expect you'll come up with different designs from me, but I'm keeping it simple to start off with. Okay. Okay, here's my fairly boring sushi restaurant. I'm just going to use the tool I use most frequently is orbit, so I can press O for orbit. There we go, and I can turn it around and check the sizes and everything like that. I recommend you doing that very frequently and zooming in. Now I want a sign on the roof, so I'm going to make a space for the sign. So I'm going to go L for line, or I could use a rectangle wherever I want the sign. and there we are, P for push pull, and I lift that up. I could put a colour on the front here, so B for bucket. I'm going to make a bright red front there, and I'm going to put some letters on it, and the letters are behind where the rectangle is. I need to, because I'm recording this on Zoom, I need to make my screen a little bit smaller. So where the rectangle is, you can see some letters, okay, and I'm going to type in Smith's Sushi, okay, and there's a few different typefaces down here. I'm going to try that, play Oswald, I think I'm going to use that, and click OK, and I can see I can put it on there, and it's obviously the wrong size. It's not particularly good. O for orbit. So what I do is S for scale, and I've got these little handles, and I can pull them out to the size that I want. I could make my letters stand out a bit more, a bit fatter if I wanted. Zoom out, orbit, O for orbit, turn it round and see if you've got it about right. If you want to move it around, M for move, as you might expect. I move that into the centre. Then B for bucket, and I'm going to make a nice bright colour for my sign. I'm going to a real lemon lime green. Okay, put the bucket away now. O for orbit, turn it round, have a look, see what I want. I'm quite pleased with that. It's better than my first attempt, in fact. H for hand, moved up. Now I want to start populating this, and this is where you can really have some fun. Make sure you save this before you do anything else, because one minute your drawing looks pretty cool, next minute you've messed it up somehow. I'm just going to select that person and move them a bit closer to my thing there. Okay, the 3D warehouse is on the side there. It says 3D warehouse, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a stool, and you've got to make sure you don't choose something that's too big. If it says it's too big, I'm going to choose a very straightforward bar stool there. Download that. It says it's a large drawing, so I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use something a little bit smaller. Downloaded that, and I put that there. If it's not the right size, S for scale, and you can make it. I'm going to make it a little bit taller because that's the style I've got. M for move, and if you want another one, you've got move, but you hold down Control as well. And I make another one and another one. Oops, it's a bit low, so I use the arrow keys to move it up. If you hold Control, it makes another one. So I've got a bunch of stools there. I could start bringing more people in there. One of the things I could do is I want some plants, so I'm going to ask for some bamboo plants. Garden bamboo, that looks pretty good. I should have got one in a pot, I think, but I'm just going to put that there and use M for move and hold down Control and put another one over here. Move it around. Make sure you save as you're going along, because this is where you kind of tend to mess up. I'm doing this quite fast because I haven't got much time left on this video. O for orbit. One last thing I'm going to do is go into where the eyes are over at the side and turn the shadows on, because I think that really helps with effective architecture. Okay. Good luck with your drawings.